Hello, this is Dr. Wells with Wells Medicine, and I wanted to talk about music for infusions. So one of the things that patients always ask is, what's the best music for my ketamine infusion? And I don't think there is a best music for every person, and I don't even think there's necessarily a best music for each individual person. I recommend usually music that doesn't have a lot of words or words that you're going to attach to. Although for some people, having more words and being distracted from the experience is actually better. So some people really like to go into the journey and into the experience, and some people like to stay a little bit above the surface and just try to get through the 40 minutes as best they can, as comfortably as they can, and be kind of distracted by the internal journey. So that's kind of a decision of whatever is most comfortable for you. In general, a lot of people really like Enya. In a lot of the research studies, the music that they chose for the patients was Enya. It's very new agey. There are words, but sometimes they're words that are hard to understand, or they're kind of nonsensical words. And a lot of people feel like Enya was almost written for ketamine infusions. I have some other patients that really resonate with Gregorian chants. So sometimes that's patients who grew up in a faith tradition where there was kind of that Latin mass feel, and really they're finding great spiritual comfort in it. But for some people, that's a huge turnoff. So Gregorian chants can be great, or they can be, not something that is, feeling like inspiring during the infusion. For some people, they really like Native American or Andean pan flute music. It can be very spiritual, very floaty, very psychedelic. Some people just really resonate with that. Some people like Nils Fromm or John Hopkins. And then oddly enough, Johns Hopkins, the university, created a psychedelic music playlist for their psilocybin treatment. So you can find that Johns Hopkins playlist, not to be confused with John Hopkins, Jon Hopkins, who also wrote some psychedelic music. That people really love during infusions. And then there are some playlists on YouTube that were created specifically for psilocybin or ketamine treatments. On YouTube, you really want to make sure that you're avoiding ads. Whether you're on YouTube or Spotify, you want to avoid the ads. But YouTube has some 40 and 60-minute infusion playlists. And then those are specifically created for psychedelic journeys, and sometimes they'll have some visualizations that go along with it. I've had some patients before who really love acoustic guitar, so Andrew York or acoustic chill music. Some of my younger patients have really liked lo-fi or ambient playlists. I've had some patients who really like Spa Day, the playlist, or spa music playlists. And some patients just, there's no wrong music. So I've had patients before who are listening to heavy metal, or who are listening to country, or who are listening to Christian rock. Some music from the 70s, some music that reminds them of a particular person or a particular time in their life. Sometimes people really want that. Sometimes people find that that's too triggering. Whatever music you listen to, I think it's definitely worth the time to kind of listen to and craft and create a playlist before you come in, to make sure that there isn't, kind of an oddball song in there or something that you're not comfortable with, because sometimes it's really hard to change music once you're in a session. It can be really difficult to change the music up or to switch songs, just because either it's really hard to see the playlist or it's really hard to kind of piece all of that together. I'm happy for patients to call me to the room to be able to change the playlist. But sometimes even, going through that process can be difficult. So it's really great to listen to it at home and just make sure there's nothing too weird or out there in whatever playlist that you create or that you're comfortable with. Some patients also find that going through the experience with that playlist can be very comforting, very calming. They develop attachment to that playlist, and then sort of in a Pavlovian way, if you're having a hard time at home, if you're kind of in a struggling moment, listening to that playlist again at home can be very calming, very relaxing. Take, 5-10 minutes with that playlist to just relax into it and be calm. Some people like a 528 hertz decibel playlist that maybe they can also use while trying to go to sleep at night. Some people like binaural beats, which can be very calming or relaxing. Some people just listen to brown noise or nature sounds or rain sounds. Those can all be calming musical playlists. So it's really, the short answer is there is no right playlist, but the music and the musical experience can definitely color your infusion. So if you're having an experience during an infusion that just really isn't what you hope for, whether it's melancholy or bittersweet or a little bit darker, one of the first things I do is always change the music. And so I really encourage patients to find a playlist that you like, have your phone on Do Not Disturb so you're not getting calls and texts. And if you really can't do Not Disturb, we have both Spotify and Alexa to be able to play different music on, to kind of come up with a playlist that you like on and bring it in on those. If you really can't, just turn your phone off during the infusion. But I really encourage having music that you are going to enjoy, that you're looking forward to, and then listening to it at home both before and sometimes after if you're having some difficult moments afterwards, because we really do bring those good associations from the infusion into that playlist too. So it's kind of a sloshing back and forth between the music and the infusion. So just, some thoughts on music for your ketamine infusions. And I hope that helps you pick out a really good playlist.